is celebrating Victory Monday. Can you believe it? Yes, I can, because I watched it happen. Ryan McCarthy, a.k.a. Ryan McCarthy, joining us on the Invader Coffee guest line. Good morning, my brother. How are you?
Good morning. It's victory. It is Victory Monday indeed, for sure.
How are you
Oh,
feeling about that, man? What a game. What a game.
it's been a roller coaster of emotions for the past 6 weeks. I'm so happy it's a bye week next week.
Yeah. Y'all finally get to rest.
Oh, for
Y'all,
sure.
y'all
They need
finally
it
get to
too.
rest.
They
Big,
need it.
big win. Big win for the Jets over the Eagles, 20-14. I'll see the floor to you for your thoughts.
This team. Oh my! I have to bring up this
Matter of fact,
quote.
let me do this. I'm gonna give him the camera. All yours.
Aw, thank you. So I caught a clip of Laken Tomlinson yesterday after the game. He was very emotional about this team. He says, I'm going to quote here. It's from Jets videos slash himself. Says, this team, man, this is such a special team. The guys fight for everyone. We all love each other. I love everybody here, man. Close quote. And he even got choked up while he was saying this. And I should have forwarded the clip to Snowman before going on, but you can see it for yourself at Jets videos on Twitter. But you can tell this team fights for one another. Even the guys who are injured. Sauce Gardner was a late scratch on Saturday because he was found out he had a concussion.
Mm-hmm.
And you had two of your top corners out. It's Reed is out. DJ Reed, he's been out the last couple of weeks with a concussion. And now Sauce Gardner goes out with a concussion. So now you got a skeleton crew in your secondary. And man, this defense and this team overall. I mean, you can see the development Zach Wilson has seen before your very eyes, which I never. You would never hear me 4 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago? What was I saying? We don't believe in Zach Wilson anymore.
We don't believe in Zach Wilson. Yeah.
Now I believe. Now I have to believe because this kid has been developing before very eyes. He's growing up real fast, and I am super. I mean, think about this yesterday. The Eagles had their opportunities to create turnovers. Their defensive, I got to give full credit to the defensive line, and their defense period, because they were the same way as the Jets. They were missing some of their defensive starters yesterday too, and they played a really effective game. I talked to I sent a text message to my buddy Jared from Corner Booth podcast.
Right.
He's big. He's a huge Eagles fan, and I said, "Hey, great game yesterday. Gotta give full credit to your defense, especially that DL. They were giving Zach Wilson all sorts of trouble yesterday, and the running game too. They couldn't get the running game. The Jets couldn't seem to get the run game going because Eagles have a really good run defense. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but
yeah.
But it's coming to the point in Zach Wilson's development that when he throws the ball and it looks like it's going to be a 50-50 ball, or it looks like it's going to be overthrown, you're not holding your breath anymore. You're not going, oh no, what's going to happen next?
And you're not wondering where the ball's going to go because he seems so decisive. That the word you said 3 weeks ago in saying we don't believe in Zach Wilson is that I remember you saying he is not decisive with his throws. That has changed.
Yeah, it's changed, and I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that he was thrown into the fire after Aaron Rodgers went down after only 75 seconds. And also Garrett Wilson went out for a couple plays yesterday because he caught his foot on the turf at MetLife Stadium, and he is the first Jet to come out this year and say that turf at MetLife Stadium is garbage. I mean, that's part of the reason why Aaron Rodgers is out this year because he caught his foot in the turf and he couldn't get it together. So I'm really proud of this team. I said this back in April, actually back in June when I took over for your time slot for the Brian Snow show. I got to ask, what's your prospect for the Jets? What's your prognosis for the Jets? Are they a playoff team? Are they not? And I said, look, if the Jets are at 500 or a game above 500 before they get to the bye week, they have a very good chance of going to the playoffs. And right now they're sitting at 3-3. Depth is stepping up at secondary, at offensive line, and this team is just playing for each other. They believe in each other. The coach believes in them. The coach believes in them. The players believe in themselves. They're set up really well defensively. Look. The Jets faced both Super Bowl teams from last year in a span of 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You know guess how many points collectively they allowed in the second half in both those games? 3.
No. 3.
Because they pitched a shutout in the second half yesterday against the Eagles. Yeah. The Eagles have a great offense.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and you held them to 14 points.
And the 14 points in the first half, which they need to get off the blocks faster offense. Come on. But if there's a one complaint that I have about this Jets team right now, it's that they need to get out of offensively. They need to get out of the blocks earlier. Mm-hmm. But they have the chance to do that in the next 4 weeks. You got the Giants, which is it's considered an away game, but it's a home game too. You got the Chargers on Sunday night coming up. You got the Raiders on Sunday night the following week, and then you play the Bills. You go to Buffalo to play a Bills team that is they're wobbly. They're wobbly right now. Yeah, they had a great performance against Miami. The last 2 games they've struggled. They were against the Giants yesterday. Against the Giants who are beat up too. Mm-hmm. So they have a chance to go on a run.
Yeah, they do.
They have the chance to go on a run. Knocking on wood here. But they have the chance to go on a run. And by the time they face Miami in November, let me just check their schedule real quick because this is real-time research, folks.
Real-time research is what we do.
Real-time research on this program.
Mm-hmm.
By the time they face the Dolphins on Black Friday, they could be 7-3.
They really could
be 7-3. And playoff contention.
I need to do something for you, because at the top of the season, I revealed this notebook, and I made a bet to myself that it would remain empty. And in the immortal words of one Ron White, that's profiling.
And profile is wrong.
I happily give this to you, sir. Here's your first one right there.
Thank you.
And I specifically made it green, when you have so many reasons. That I made the joke on the air that I would go out and buy a green notebook. My wife, my beautiful Jody, saw this and immediately made the connection. She says, okay, who's the Jets fan in your crew? I said, Ryan McCarthy. And she says, how many pages are in the notebook? I said about 70. And she opened her mouth. God love her. And she says, you're going to use half of that notebook, right? And I started laughing. I said, you know what? For that reason alone, I'll use half of the notebook to hand them receipts. And you always said, after the Aaron Rodgers deal finally went down, you said, you said you said buy the Jets but keep the receipts.
But buying on the Jets but keep the receipt.
Yeah, you buying the Jets but you're keeping the receipts. Well, there's your first one. And I picked 2 reasons I handed out that receipt. 1, the Jets played a hell of a game, and 2, I picked the Eagles to win that game. And a bonus reason, I kept this just in case I would be handing you receipts. Because once again, in the immortal words of Ron White, after I picked the Eagles to beat the Jets, matter of fact, we all did. It was unanimous because Victor was with us as our guest picker. And I want you to be our guest picker one of these weeks, man.
Vicola.
I went to Victor when we taped our picks. I went to Victor. Victor's like, really? But again, to borrow from Ron White, and y'all know I love the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, that's profiling. And profiling is wrong. So those are why I'm giving receipts this morning. And I love it. Speaking of football,
yeah,
the CFL is winding down.
Yeah, we got 2 weeks left.
We got 2 weeks. Can you believe it? 2 weeks left in the
No,
CFL
we're already here.
season. Yeah. The Argonauts are in. The Blue Bombers are in. The Lions are in.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have 3 weeks left. I'm sorry.
3 weeks left.
No, it's 2. No, it's 2. Never mind.
They just finished week 19. Okay, who has surprised you in the CFL this year?
I think BC and the BC Lions and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers finding out who's going to win the West, because I thought at the beginning of the season Winnipeg's going to be the top of the West until somebody knocks them off.
Yeah,
Winnipeg said, "All right." Yeah, Winnipeg was a team, and all of a sudden you see your BC Lions coming around the corner, and
that was my upset pick, because I've been a Lions
fan.
I've been a Lions fan and a Blue Bombers fan forever, as long as I started watching the CFL. But I specifically picked the Lions this year to upset the Blue Bombers, which A, takes a hell of a trick because we're talking about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers here, and B, the Lions are without the remarkable Rourke, who's in Jacksonville, but Vernon Adams has stepped up and has done the job. And you find the Lions a half a game behind Winnipeg. Winnipeg 12-4, BC 12-5. Yeah. Has this race been surprising to you this year to find out who's going to walk away with the West and a bye week, I believe?
Yeah, I mean, technically, with the CFL, they're taking the page out of hockey because it's a Canadian Football League, so they go based by a point system. But Winnipeg is up because they have less losses and less games than BC does in 17.
Right.
So exactly. Winnipeg had their bye week this past week.
Yep.
And they got Edmonton at home this coming Saturday, and then they're at Calgary on Friday, the next Friday.
Right.
Those are two winnable games. Calgary's been up and down all season long. Saskatchewan had the chance to end their season on Friday, but they didn't. So it's going to be interesting coming down to the wire for and BC's with them. BC, they play their last game. They're at home against Calgary on Friday, so they have a chance. If they have a chance to try to strengthen their hold, because in the divisions with the divisions the way they are, the top seed has a bye week going into the playoffs.
Right.
They have an automatic home game, which on this year they switched it up. The semis and the finals, division semi and the finals, they're on a Saturday this year. They're not on Sundays.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think they wanted to compete with the NFL on those days.
They did switch it up. So now not only they're competing with our like late Saturday games. Wow. Late Saturday college football games. Wow.
Yeah. So
I may have to call you. We may have to do one of those.
We may have to do it. We have to do an alternate play-by-play in one of those games.
We may have to. You know what? Let's do it. Let's do both of them.
Let's go.
Let's do both of them. I'll put it in the calendar. Make sure my wife knows. Okay, y'all heard it here.
Saturday the 4th and Saturday the 11th.
Yep.
Alternative play-by-play.
The 4th and the 11th. Alternative play-by-play with Ryan McCarthy and myself covering the CFL. Let's do it.
Yeah,
let's put it in the book. Let's put it in the book, and I'm putting it in the book right now. And I'm also putting it on my Google Calendar so my wife will know the times and everything. I am texting my boss. Y'all see that this is happening live here. I'm texting my boss, to let her know, hey, I got some alternative play-by-play that I'm doing here. Oh
And the
man.
boss being Dr. K, I presume.
Well, she's the boss here in the house.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
my boss at work is who I'm texting also.
Mm,
Yeah,
gotcha.
Dr. K doesn't mind. And speaking of Dr. K, there is a possibility, and y'all, I'm gonna shock the daylights out of y'all with this. And I talked about this yesterday during my 49ers coverage. There is a possibility next week that Dr. K will join me when we cover the Colts and the Browns next Sunday afternoon.
Dun dun dun. Wait, do it again with the actual sound effect. Do it
Wait,
again with the actual sound effect.
all right, hold on a minute.
Wait, let me. I got it.
Because y'all know wait a minute. Because y'all know I'm gonna cut the daylights out of this and make a short out of this, right? But
Yeah.
In all honesty, she did say that she would think about it, and I presented it to her, and she started laughing. Where is it? Where is it? Okay, I am ready. Now,
All right.
let me try this announcement again. There is a possibility that next Sunday afternoon, Dr. K will join me as the Colts host the Browns at Lucas Oil Stadium for some alternative play-by-play coverage. Yeah, Dr. K would join me.
Wait. A female on alternative play-by-play coverage? Oh my.
The beautiful part is that she's already been in the booth with me back in 2018 when I was covering high school football. So she knows my look. There are some days I can honestly tell y'all she knows my operation better than I do, especially with all the medicine I'm taking and me still getting out of the chemo fog, because lately I've had to deal with that. Wait, Victor gets in on the phone. He says, wait, we would be blessed by Dr. K. She said she would let me know, but there is a strong possibility that she will join me next Sunday. So I may be busy doing 2 games. No, I'm doing 1 game on Sunday, which is the Colts and the Browns, and then Monday night I have the 49ers and the Vikings. So that is that splits the coverage, and everything is moving around like crazy. So yeah, I mean, I find myself as busy as the playmaker sometimes with all the stuff I'm putting together, but I am so blessed with my wife helping me keep my schedule together, as well as me keeping my head on straight with everything that's going on. A couple minutes before we go to a break, and I had someone ask me a few months ago before I came back on from the break how much basketball I will do this year, because I'm not on site. I'm still strengthening my body. I'm still getting it back into optimum shape before we move west. So I'm doing a lot of basketball in studio with the alternative play-by-play. And again, Dr. K is my hero. She told me to write my schedule down. Well, I did that. Using 2 of these, and I'm still not ready. Especially with what I talked about this morning with women's basketball. Because
God, Snowman. That's 2 notebooks.
Victor, will you tell him? Victor's my longtime engineer. Victor, will you tell him how many notebooks I go through every basketball season? Because Victor's been my engineer for 18 years now. And for a while, he used to bring me the notebooks, clean ones. And we would just sit down and write notes and write a possible schedule. This is when we were at Chicago State and covering high school basketball at the same time. Yeah. By the time we got done with our scheduling session, A, 3 hours had passed. B, someone brought us lunch. And C, my boss, John Kalidas, would come into the editing studio, look at Victor, look at me, and he goes, I know y'all are not done yet. No. He would turn around and walk out. And then when we get finished, I finally come to him. Victor and I finally come to John, and I said, John, we have our schedule. He would just look at me and go, "Are you sure?" I look at Victor, and he looks at me, and we go, no.
No. Really? No.
It would take. We thought we would get it done in a day. Usually, it takes us a week. All right, and 2 weeks later, the season will start. Then we get all our permissions in place. We get the equipment that we need. I was the only one that was allowed to travel on the road because of the budget. But if we were at home in Chicago, Victor's there with me. There was one night or one weekend, 2008, as a matter of fact. In a 3-day stretch, I did 5 games.
Oof.
In a 3-day stretch, I did 5 games. Um, 2 men's games, a women's game, and then 2 high school games in 3
Wow.
days.
Wow.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Thursday, I did Chicago State at Northern Iowa. Drove to Northern Iowa from Gary, Indiana. I was living in Gary at the time. I drove, and I was heavier than this, so my medicine was out of control. My medicine was completely out of control. I didn't know what the hell was wrong with me. I didn't care. I love doing games. Now I got a better sense of my health since cancer tried to get me, and I kicked it in the ass.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I drove to Cedar Falls, and this is the funniest story ever, and I hope to have Gary Rima on soon. I drove to Cedar Falls, but I was so tired. I went into the McLeod Center, into the student center, and I sat at one of the computers, and I said, "Okay, I'm going to type the rest of my notes, get access to print them, and I'll be okay." Nope. I sat in that chair and I went right to sleep. I went right to sleep, and this sharp dressed man comes in and he says, "I'm looking for the voice of the Cougars," and I immediately sit up. I turn and look at him, and I go, "You found him." And he says, "I want to tape an interview with you for my pregame show." You're on. Tape the interview, and Gary has been one of my best friends since. I love that man. Gary Rima, longtime voice of the University of Northern Iowa. Then I drove my friend Corey home, who was the SID. I drove home, and by the time I got home, it was 6 a.m. in the morning. Passed out, woke up next day, Friday, and I had to do 2 games, 2 high school games, one at 3:00 and one at 7:00.
Mm-hmm.
Victor calls me and he goes, "You know you have 2 games today, right?" And I'm half asleep. "Yes, I know." I got through both of those games, and I was sitting here, and you've done play-by-play. I was sitting at the game, sharp as a whip, and I was ready. And by the time the third quarter hit, I was like this. Victor pinches me on the shoulders. He's like, "Come on, you got another half to do." And this is during the late game. Got done with that, went home, passed out, woke up the next day, did a men's game in Hoffman Estates, which was a 90-minute drive. And then from there, flew back to Chicago to do a women's game, did that, went home, put a sign on my apartment door, "Do not disturb." And I slept for the next 2 days. The only person that was allowed to call me the only people that were allowed to call me at the time were Victor and my mother. Everybody else got the voicemail.
Yep.
Because I didn't know if my mom needed anything, which it turns out she didn't. Matter of fact, the only time mom called me during my hibernation, "You need some groceries. Come get them." "What?" "You need some groceries. Come get them." Drive to mom's house, and mom loaded my trunk with about $200 worth of stuff.
Wow.
I miss you, Mom. Yeah. 5 after
Hi,
the
Mom and
hour.
Dad. Hi, Mom and Dad.
Oh man, 5 after the hour. Ran a little over on coffee with McCarthy, but we love having you, brother. And I know you got to go. Thank you so much, my man. Appreciate the time.
Thank you. Victory Monday tonight at 8:30 Eastern time, and regular no credentials required this Wednesday at 8 p.m. We'll be wrapping up the week in NFL. I'm looking forward to the next week.
All right, we'll tune in. I will definitely tune in them both. And plus, Ryan and I will have the CFL semifinals and maybe the Grey Cup. We'll put it all together for you. Thank you, my man. Appreciate you.
Thanks, No Man.